Hello and welcome back. Today I have a few things that I would like to discuss. Of course, I know all of you guys are here for the My Hero Academia Season 4 release date. I'm going to talk about that right now, but I also want to talk about a full season review for Season 3 as well. I know you're here for the release date, though. I know you're going to close the video after I'm done talking about the release date, but I'm going to talk about the release date because I know what it is. 90% sure what it is. I'm going to say 99. I'm going to say 99. My Hero Academia Season 4 is coming April 2019. You might ask, how do you know that? Let me tell you. All right. Let me tell you how I know that. The release dates for both Season 2 and Season 3 were April, and they ran until summer. My Hero Academia, the manga is really far ahead of the anime right now. Not to mention, it is probably the most popular anime that is currently running. Now, there are arguments to that, of course, but I'm going to say that it is. Am I right? No. If I'm wrong, you can spam statistics down in the comments. It doesn't matter to me. In other words, point being said, it's coming back because of the fact that there are people who want to watch it, and it is going to make a lot of money, and it is going to come back in a year. It is going to come back next year, April 2019. I know that's what's going to happen. If it doesn't, you guys are welcome to spam the comments, tell me how wrong I was. I honestly encourage it. Now, I also wanted to do a full season review for Season 3. So there goes like half the viewers, maybe 90% of them if this video does really well. And people click, they go like, oh, April, yeah, that makes sense. I understand what you're saying. Cool, I hope it comes in April. But anyway, I want to start the season review by pretty much withdrawing the first 3 episodes of the season because although they weren't like pointless and they had little bits of good information in there, they were far too comedy heavy and clearly were just there to fill time, which was something that I wasn't a big fan of. However, jumping forward to Season 3, Episode 4, which was titled My Hero, we got the second best fight in the entire series so far, which was Deku versus Muscular. Many may say that it's their favorite, but the difference here to me, the biggest difference here to me, is that Deku and Muscular have no history. It was a fight that just sprang out of nowhere because Deku needed to save Kota. But there was no build-up, there was nothing like that. But with a great, terrific fight, which in my opinion was the climax of Season 2, was in fact Deku versus Todoroki, where they built it up, they had the history between them, they knew how to make that work. That's what I loved about that. It'll take so much to rout the climax of the sports festival, in my opinion. It'll take a lot for them to be able to top that. It was very, very close, though, and I did love the episode. I just wish there was maybe a little bit more history between those two. After the fight, my favorite thing is that Aizawa recognized that Deku did what he had to do. There was no way around it. Thus, Aizawa had no choice but to bend the rules for Deku and send him to Mandalay to let everyone know that they can fight as well. Aizawa kind of understood the situation and knows Deku is extremely competent even though he breaks his bones all the time. And I really just appreciated that moment because the last thing I wanted was that same formula to go over and over again. Deku fights when he's not supposed to, or Deku fights and breaks his bones and he gets scolded. He gets scolded every time he does something. Aizawa said, no, we're done with that. We're going to make sure we do the right thing this time because I know that you did what you had to do and there was no other way around that. That was great. I like that a lot. The best part about this season at this point is that we get our opportunity to learn about all the new villains. My personal favorite villain, I'm going to have to say, is Dabi. It's a simple blue fire quirk, but I think he's just really cool, and I think he's got some sort of relation to Deku. He actually looks a lot like him if you actually haven't noticed yet. Also, kind of a relation to how he looks kind of like him. It was revealed, although we haven't seen Deku's dad, it was revealed in some of the first few episodes that his dad has a fire-breathing quirk, so it would make complete sense that there might be some relation between the two, considering Dabi also has a fire quirk, and he's got like more of a blue fire quirk, but they didn't specify what Deku's father's quirk was specifically and what it looks like, so great potential there. That'd be really cool to see. It would be interesting to see if Dabi's like more of a cousin to him or something like that he just doesn't know about. Muscular would have been cool to see more of as well. I had an original thought that Muscular was Bakugo's dad, Bakugo's dad has since been on the show, but I have some sort of feeling that he's some sort of distant relative because the two of them are just so simple. Not so simple. They're so similar. Like, Bakugo and Muscular, what they have in common is that they both just scream their heads off and have short fuses. Muscular obviously is basically what Muscular is he's obviously just a darker version of Bakugo. That's basically Muscular's attitude. And that I can't ignore that similarity. There's got to be something there. There just has to be. And they made their character designs the exact same, man. The exact same. You can't not be. You can't not be. I'm still somewhat convinced. I think different things are going to happen. And Muscular isn't dead. He is in prison, so we're probably going to see him later. Moving on to the rest of the villains, Spinner's pretty dumb. I like how he's inspired by Stain, and thus is just Stain, and that's all. But he got taken down easily and never got to show off his quirk, which was unfortunate. Magne's quirk is pretty cool, but not against more than one person. We saw him use it against Mandalay, and Tiger was there to stop that from being effective. Same with Mount Lady stepping in when he used it on Compress to get Bakugo and Deku and the others rescued him. Compress is really cool, and I want to see more of what he can do. I think that the whole thing where he trapped Tokoyami and the little marble balls, I think that's like super cool. That's a really good quirk that I think there's a lot more that he can do than just that. So I hope we get a fight with him more involved soon. Moonfish is a straight up nut job, as you'd expect from a prisoner that escapes death row. That just makes complete sense. I like characters that aren't for a second holding back and are just 100% out to kill, and the fact that they make them literally insane. It really puts you in that moment of, yes, somebody's probably going to get severely injured. The dude ate Shoji's arm. The dude ate Shoji's arm. Like, that is disgusting, but he's real. He's ready. Crazy things like that are crazy. They're awesome. Twice we didn't get to see much of either, but they did throw in some backstory on him near the end of the season, so I expect there's going to be some sort of battle involved with him soon, or a little bit more to discover about what exactly he is and how he got to where he is. Also, his quirk is very similar to Ectoplasm's. The only difference is the fact that Ectoplasm can make multiple. Twice can only make two, but he can also make copies of other people. That's the big difference. But maybe Ectoplasm can do that too. Maybe Twice is Ectoplasm. There's little things like that makes me think similar quirks. It's a possibility there. So I don't know fully if that's what's going to happen, but that seems very possible. If anything, they're at least relatives. There's also Mustard. And Mustard just secretes poisonous gas, which I guess is cool, but like Tetsu showed him that doesn't do that much, and he lost. And haven't seen him since. Lastly, there's Toga, and she's going to play a huge role next season. Her quirk lets her transform into someone as long as she has their blood. And I'm 100% going to feel suspicious about Deku next season because of the fact that she now has his blood. I don't know when I'll fully be convinced that it's our Deku and not her. It might actually take me a couple episodes, but obviously, you can't inherit the quirk of the person that you transform into, so just that alone makes me think that most likely the second I see Deku using his quirk, I'm going to know it's him, but otherwise there might be something a little tricky because you don't get Deku's blood and transform into him unless you have a specific agenda, a specific thing you're trying to make sure you do, and I think it's going to be really cool to see. Now, throughout Season 2, the show used a lot of different ways to showcase each other, to showcase each member of Class A and show what they could do. They also significantly grew the characters of Uraraka, Todoroki, and Ida by letting you know about a little bit of their backstory and their family and why they just wanted to win so hard in the sports festival, and Ida specifically because of the things with the hero killer nearly killing his brother, and they went all about on that. We knew hardly anything about their past prior to this. They did get lines, but we got to see their quirks, but that's about it. The show also did a great job using smaller characters and teaching you more about them in the sports festival, such as Tokoyami and Hatsume were two that they did a lot about. And they also had the final exam arc where every single member of Class A was involved, and it gave everyone the opportunity to see the last couple of quirks in Class A that have not had their chance to shine, which aka were just Koda and Sato. Those are the only two that actually never had been involved in a combat scene prior, so they got their chance there. Now, after Bakugo got captured, things kept up on being incredible. I mean, Deku, Yaoyorozu, Todoroki, Ida, and Kirishima go against what they were told to rescue Bakugo, who had been captured by the League of Villains because they wanted to join him. The rescue was genius by Deku, and what really sells this point is just before the rescue. The reveal of All for One of the greatest villain introductions I've ever seen. All Might boiled up and ready for revenge, and I knew as soon as that fight began that was the end of All Might. He was going to hit that limit. He was going to be done for. I knew he wasn't going to die. I knew there was a possibility that he was going to die, considering All Might without his power doesn't do that much, but he still has an opportunity to mentor Deku as well, which is fantastic. But like, I wasn't sure if All Might was going to live or die. I felt that even if he did live, there was no way he was going to be able to perform as a hero anymore. I knew that was going to happen. And All Might defeated All for One with the United States of Smash. And that's one of the best moments of the series, in my opinion, just because of the fact that you can't beat him with a specific state. Like in Oklahoma Smash, you just throw the whole country at him, and those are the jokes that people made. And it was a terrific moment. I was very happy about that, and we learned a lot about how All Might became the symbol of peace, how exactly his master, he obtained One for All. We learned a little bit about his master and things like that, which was really, really awesome. I think it'll be a little while before we see Deku versus All for One. The cool thing about All for One is the fact that they once again they threw him in prison. He's not staying in prison. Like, come on. You can't. He is not staying in prison. And the coolest part is that Deku is now known as the successor to One for All. All for One knew that it was Deku specifically. What's cool is All for One, for whatever. Well, I don't find that cool. I find it weird why All for One doesn't tell Tomura Shigaraki and the rest of the League of Villains about One for All. I guess he has some sort of respect toward the power, and he won't tell people about it, even though he also knows it. So I find that really interesting. I also want to know about One for All's origin, or All for One's origin, that is, because All for One, how did he even come to know about One for All is the crazy thing. Did he originally have it? There's all kinds of crazy things that could come out of that, for sure. But I'd like to see a Deku versus One for All fight. Or All for One fight. I think that's going to happen eventually. It's going to take a while because Deku will go nowhere near winning that, and All for One needs to work his way out of jail. But I know that it's going to happen eventually. It's going to be fantastic. The end of All Might is when everything changes, and I think that's a big thing for Season 4. The fact that villains are coming. They have nothing to fear. All Might is gone. They have absolutely nothing that's going to be getting in their way. They are ready to go. And the entire society is going to change because there isn't a strong symbol of peace that holds everything together, that keeps crime down. Endeavor is not going to fare very well as the #1 hero, so I think this is really exciting. In Season 3, we didn't get as much screen time for Class A, and instead focused on the main group specifically. The main group I consider to be Deku, Bakugo, All Might, Aizawa, Uraraka, and Ida and Todoroki. And I say those 7 specifically because those are the people that, even if they don't get the most screen time, because some may argue that other characters do get a decent amount of screen time, we know the most about them. The show has focused the most on them by giving you little pieces of their family, by giving you little pieces of their backstory. If you're Aizawa, you're just pretty much there all the time. And it's really, really, really easy to tell who the main characters that the show wants you to focus on and who the random extras are, because they don't talk about the extras in their backstory. They tell you what their quirks are. They do get lines. Sometimes they're random comic relief. Sometimes they actually do get involved in something, like Kirishima does a lot. But we don't know anything about their backstory and their family. And usually when you loop in other characters involved in their life, like their backstory and their family, that is when you showcase that they are a main character. That's what I would say. Now, the Provisional License Exam arc did allow others like Jiro, Sero, Kaminari, and Yayorozu to shine, but it mainly focused on the new ones from Shiketsu and Ketsubutsu High, and other big hero schools, which are the other big hero schools in Japan that they debuted. I very much liked Inasa Yurarishi. He honestly reminded me of Bakugo in a massive way, always working with himself, not liking working with other people and things like that. I think he'll be great. I think if there's anybody we're going to be seeing after this arc that was from one of the other schools, it's him. The other people, I don't think so, because they didn't really get to do much of anything, but it'll happen. Now, the other, there's a couple more people who go to Shiketsu, but the most important one was Kami Utsushimi. She was actually just Toga in disguise. So Toga evidently got Kami's blood. kidnapped her or something. I have absolutely no idea, but there is a real Cammy somewhere out there, and did the provisional license exam arc herself, which I thought was very, very weird, because she pulled off the whole thing without a quirk. But also, like, where's the real Cammy? And is the Cammy going to tell someone about what happened? Is she going to get out? Or is Toga just going to be Cammy right now? That's a little thing that, like, gets a little tricky. Although Toga did get Deku's blood in the process, which was what made the biggest difference there. Ketsu Academy High had Yo Shindo, who was, like, the only one that ever did anything. He's got his Earthquake quirk, which I thought was pretty cool. And I don't know if we're going to be seeing any of him at all. Honestly, the provisional license exam arc was kind of disappointing. There was no big fight. There's one positive, though, and that's that I loved Aizawa's explanation to joke about his class, about how Deku and Bakugo stand in the middle and different people follow each one, and how that's brought the best out of them. This isn't something I realized myself, so I love this moment. I was also shocked that Todoroki, Inasa, and Bakugo failed. I expected the ones who kind of sucked and fell out in the early rounds of the sports festival, for example, would fail instead, but that's not what happened. It seemed that everybody... I don't want to say everybody got better, but the provisional license exam was way, 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 way easier than the final exams, and it was way easier than the sports festival, and I was expecting something even harder than it ever had been, and that's not the case, unfortunately. Now, the best part, the selling point of the second half of the season, of course, was Bakugo learning about One for All and challenging Deku to a fight because he had so much built-in emotion, because he thought that he was the end of All Might, and it was the single greatest moment of this season, I think, was Deku versus Bakugo Part 2. There was so much emotion in Bakugo in that episode than we've ever seen before. Bakugo literally just all day long is like, Deku! And that's all he does. He just screams his head off. It screams at however many people wanting to kill them. He doesn't actually kill them, but like that's his line. He goes like, die. And he doesn't actually want to kill them, and he doesn't actually ever do kill him. He just says it when he uses his explosions. And he's got a really awesome quirk, and his personality reflects his quirk. An explosion quirk, and you give him a short fuse. I mean, I just find that really funny. But we saw Bakugo get emotional, and that's something that we've never seen before. We have never seen Bakugo open up to Deku like he actually did in that fight, and I think that's what just made that episode so special. Is it was the start of Bakugo starting to understand, starting to settle differences with Deku, starting to realize that like Deku's actually his best friend. Like, he doesn't have any other friends. He has Deku. He thinks he's so great. He thinks he doesn't need other people. And he does that, and he opens up to Deku. And are they actually going to be best friends now? No, of course not. But Bakugo's accepted that the only person he could truly tell the truth to is Deku. And he's still, I think, just for publicity standpoint, not going to like be his best friend. But there will be times where the two of them are alone, and there will be times where the two of them will work together and things like that, and that's when things are going to get together a lot more. They are still rivals, but they're kind of a little bit different. They're kind of in a Naruto and Sasuke rivalry at the very end of Naruto, where they're both kind of just doing their own thing. They accept that they're like friends, but they're not like great friends who do everything together. They still split up and things like that. I think it'll be a lot like that. Now, the season pretty much ended just with some setup, like Season 2 did, which I'm okay with because it means less setup at the start of the next season. So as soon as there's like a huge moment near the end of the season, I know nothing's really going to happen for the rest of the season, and I'm okay with that. They specifically focused on the big three, or pretty much Mirio, who was impressed by Deku. Mirio taught them that even if their quirk is weak, they can make it strong, and he's got a really, really cool quirk. Now, the work studies are what we're starting next season with, which is super hype. Class 1A versus a bunch of villains is basically what the next arc should be. It looks like they're setting up, which is super, super hype. Deku called Gran Torino to see if he could join up with them again. Gran Torino told him about All Might's old sidekick, who would be better for Deku to work with, so that's exciting. We get to meet All Might's old sidekick. Deku's probably going to be working under him. That's going to be super exciting. I do wonder, though, if All Might has a sidekick, does All Might's sidekick know about One for All? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. I think that he's going to take Deku under his wing because he feels that his quirk is similar to All Might, because everybody notices that Deku's quirk is similar to All Might's, but they know that they don't think it's the exact same because Deku uses it as his own power and he uses it in a different way. So they just think it's some sort of energy storage punching quirk, but also Deku can throw it throughout his entire body and use it for speed, which is something that All Might never did. He had the ability to do it, but All Might's way of just basically annihilating them in one punch was his way of doing it, and he had the strength to make it work where Deku did not. Now, I'm still waiting for a Deku versus Shigaraki fight. I think it needs to happen. It's been so... They've just been milking it and milking it and milking it. Shigaraki just rising and boiling hate for Deku, but he keeps sending other people after Deku instead of going after him himself. I think he's going to hit the point where he goes after him himself. And I think Deku working under All Might's sidekick, if All Might's sidekick is investigating the League of Villains, then Shigaraki will be involved, and that'll be the time to see that battle. Of course, Shigaraki touches you, and you disintegrate. Whatever he touches disintegrates. That's the kind of tricky part, is the fact that Deku is going to have a lot of difficulty getting hits in on Shigaraki. Maybe there's something that he can do to counter it. Maybe there is something he can do with his suit that'll make it undisintegratable. I don't know if that's actually a thing you can do, but if Deku's planning on the fight, there must be something that he can plan on. And he's so smart, and he analyzes so many heroes and villains. He knows exactly what he was supposed to do. He's a genius. He is literally a hero genius. So it's going to be a really exciting fight if they finally get around to that. Additionally, Todoroki still hates his father, but he is learning from him. And I'm sure that Todoroki is going to be standing under Endeavor's wing and being his sidekick, which means we'll get a lot of strong villains that Todoroki is going to get a chance to fight, because Endeavor's the #1 hero, and he's going to be all over the place right now. So it would be absolutely amazing to see these work studies, and I really, really, really hope Deku versus Shigaraki. Don't introduce a new villain. You know what I mean? Like, at least do a villain that you've teased in the past. Like, for season 3, they did all the new League of villains, and they showed them at the end of season 2 and showed them join the League of Villains and things like that. Then you get to highlight them. Season 3, in season 2, they also teased One for All, or All for One coming in, and they showed One for All come in for season 3, and they fought One for All, and it was great. But All Might explained to Deku One for All, or All for One was a thing. It's so freaking hard to keep that in your head and say it the right way. But yeah, they explained who All for One was, and they threw him in season 3. Now, what they're gonna need to do then, because they've explained so many villains and they haven't really introduced almost any new ones, then you're going to need to not introduce a villain at the beginning. That's not what we want to do. You have to introduce a villain, and you have to give a character a motive to go after that villain. Like Hero Killer Stain killing Tensei, and Ida going after him. That makes complete sense. Or you can just keep the same people we have now, but that'll get boring if you keep the same. So maybe add a couple new people to the League of Villains, or just have Deku against Shigaraki. Please have Deku against Shigaraki. Like, please. And I also talked about the thing with Dabi. It'd be cool to learn a little bit more about Dabi. I think that would be cool as well. Now that's going to be it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. It has been a long one, but I hope you enjoyed my Season 3 full review of My Hero Academia. And be sure to hit the subscribe button. That's going to be popping up on your screen right now. I'm going to point to it. I'm going to say it's going to be right here. And if I'm wrong, then we got a problem. But you know what? I'm going to say it's right here anyway, because I can, and it's fun. Why not? All right. That's going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.